Hi everyone, my name is Anita Ladhani. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and an energy practitioner. And today I want to talk to you about there is no compulsion in your worship and your practice and your spirituality. There should be no compulsion when it comes to your relationship with God. So let's talk about that a little bit. The old school of preaching, whether it was sermons or, satsangs or vaises, or, any sort of, religious lecturing. The old school was to talk to the audience and instill fear in them. The fear of going to hell, the fear of, upsetting God, the fear of being away from God. There was a lot of fear mongering. It was based in fear that if you don't practice your faith, if you don't, pray, if you don't do this, if you don't do that. Sorry about that. So the old school was to, really instill fear in people that if you don't do this, if you don't give tithing, if you don't, do this puja, if you don't worship, you're going to go to hell, or you're not going to get close to God. You're making, you're incurring sin. And that's fine. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that for that generation. But I think it's important to understand and look at, our relationship with our divine, no matter what you call your divine. That's irrelevant. We're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And ultimately, if this resonates with you, you have a higher power that you are striving to build a relationship with. And so I find that it's much more palatable, but I think it's also, for me, what feels true is that God is love. And so for me to practice my faith is because I love God, not because I fear God. Excuse me. It's because I want to be closer to my higher power. I want to feel closer to God. I want to feel His mercy, His grace, His love. Not because I'm afraid to go to hell, not because I'm afraid to disappoint Him, but not because I'm afraid. It's because I love Him so much, or her so much, that I just want to be loved and close to God. Very different approaches to the same thing, right? So, for example, if you are meditating, and if you've taken some kind of mantra, right? It's what, why do you sit and meditate? Why do you get up and pray? Why do you do anything you do in terms of your religion, your spirituality, your faith, your practice of your faith? Do you do it from a place of fear, or do you do it from a place of love? And I just want to humbly submit to you that you do it from a place of love and not fear. I know that, leaders will, spiritual, the old school sort of, mentality is the fear mongering, right? But I really want to just encourage you to do it from a place of love. So, I think that God has given us free will for a reason. God is almighty, all powerful. If He didn't want us to have free will, He could have easily taken that away. If He wanted us to be a certain way, He could have easily made it so, because He's God, right? But the fact that God has given us the biggest gift of free will, to be able to decide, to be able to choose for ourselves in any given moment, this way or that way. And again, we choose to, categorize it as right or wrong. That's a gift that God has given us. Why has God given us the gift of free will? God has given us the gift of free will so that we can experience certain choices that we make and the consequences of those choices. Now, when we choose a certain, when we make a certain decision, and then there's a consequence that is not so pleasant, then we sit and we say, well, God is punishing me. No, God is not punishing you. God has better things to do than punish you. It's actually just the law of karma. Okay? What is the law What is the law of karma? The law of karma is the universal law. Every religion has it. What you sow is what you reap. What goes around is what comes around. That has nothing to do with God. If you chose to do something, there's going to be a consequence. So for example, if there's a traffic light and you run a red light, knowing that you're not supposed to run a red light, you might get lucky and you might make it fine through the intersection, or you might not get so lucky and you might actually get hit and have an accident, and whatever that is, right? However serious or minimal that accident is. But the point is, your choice, your decision of running the red light, knowing it was a red light, knowing you were supposed to stop, pause, is going to have a consequence. Now, are you going to sit there and blame God because God didn't save you from the accident? You see how ridiculous that sounds? No, it was a consequence of your decision. So we know we have to wait till the light turns green, and we may still get into an accident, and it is what it is. That's just life. But for this analogy, that's just the law of karma, right? So someone said to me, well, what if you make decisions and, when you didn't know any better? Okay, so let's take that example. Let's use the analogy of when someone is sleeping, right? When someone is sleeping, they're just sleeping. If I'm just sleeping and I'm waking up, I'm slowly waking up, and I'm just becoming aware of, where am I? Okay, and once I'm kind of waking up, I kind of make my bed, I get up and I go brush my teeth, I wash my face, I take a shower, I get ready for the day. But that only happens once I wake up. When I'm sleeping, simple, right? But once I'm awake, then I can do all the things I want to do or I'm supposed to do. But if two people are sleeping, are you going to fault the person for sleeping and they're not getting up and doing the things that they can be doing? No, you're just going to say they're sleeping. It's okay. But when the person wakes up, then they wake up, and then you can say, well, once you're awake, you didn't brush your teeth? Why didn't you brush your teeth, right? But you're not going to go to a person who's sleeping and be like, well, why didn't this person brush their teeth? Why haven't they gotten dressed? Well, they're sleeping. They don't even know they're supposed to do that, right? And that's the difference between waking up spiritually and sleepwalking through life. When you're sleepwalking through life, you don't know any better. Maya Angelou has a quote that says, when you know better, you do better, right? So just like you wouldn't fault a person for sleeping, just like, you wouldn't hold that person accountable to be able to do more just because they're sleeping, why would you hold yourself accountable for doing more when you didn't know any better? Another example is a child, right? When a baby is just learning how to crawl, are you going to then expect or demand or command it to walk or run? No, that's ridiculous. The baby doesn't know how to, right? The baby slowly is going to build its capacity to be able to then get stronger and stronger and develop the skills of learning how to walk and then eventually run. But if the baby doesn't crawl, it's never going to get to the point of eventually running. We don't hold a baby accountable, and we don't, get upset with the baby because the baby didn't know how to run or the baby knocked something over when it was just learning how to crawl. It didn't know any better. That's all it knew, right? Similarly, give yourself a break. When you know better, you do better. When you know better, you do better. Simple. I'm repeating something that seems so simple, but you didn't know any better. Once you know better, it's okay. You're still going to make mistakes. That's just life, right? But then you learn from the mistakes and then you make a different choice. So I just want to again, summarize by saying, be kind to yourself, okay? In any given situation, whether it's our relationship with God or it's anything else, you always have a choice to come from love or come from fear. Simple as that. I encourage you to come from love and not fear. Why come from fear? Fear is going to hold you down. Don't do something because you're afraid of consequence. Don't do something because you're afraid to go to hell. Do something and don't do something from a desire to go to heaven either. No, just do something because you want to feel love. You just love, and you want to do it because that's what you want to do. And again, do the best you can. It's okay if you make mistakes. It's okay if you fail. That's the beauty of life. That's the journey of life. Failure is actually a blessing, because failure helps you appreciate success when you actually experience success. But if you're just used to winning, you kind of take it for granted. No one just always wins. It just doesn't work that way. We all experience failure, but the difference is, are we going to look at failure and blame and curse God? Or are we going to look at failure and say, okay, there's certain choices I made that didn't quite give me the results I wanted. So now what different choice can I make? So make a different choice. Simple as that. Anyways, love and light. Take care. God bless. Bye.